Hi, I'm Benjamin Fry. Let's look at the passive today. The passive is a form whereby the subject and the object are inverted. In this way, the object becomes the subject of the sentence. It is a passive subject since it is not the agent. That is to say, it is acted upon rather than being the actor itself. So, how do we make the passive? Let's start with the affirmative. You always start with a subject, and then a form of be, and then the past participle. In the negative, we just add not. Subject, be, not, participle. In questions, we start with a form of be, and then the subject, and then the past participle. The tense of the sentence is formed by changing be. Let's have a look at how we can do this. Present simple, am, is, are. Present continuous, am, is, or are being. Present perfect, have or has been. Past simple, was or were. Past continuous, was or were being. Past perfect, had been. Future simple, will be. Be can also be combined with modal verbs and semi-modals. So, for example, would be, could be, can be, going to be, etc. Look at the following example to see how we can change the tense of a sentence simply by using a different form of be. Pay attention to the time expressions used in these sentences. The office is cleaned every day. The office is being cleaned now. The office has already been cleaned today. The office was cleaned this morning. The office was being cleaned when I arrived this morning. The office had already been cleaned by the time I arrived this morning. And of course, the office will be cleaned again tomorrow. So let's look at some of the uses of the passive. We use the passive when A, the agent is unknown. So for example, my car has been stolen. I don't know by who. 2, when the agent is obvious. So for example, a man was arrested by police. Obviously. Number 3, when the agent is unimportant. So the office is cleaned every day. It doesn't matter to me by who. And number 4, to emphasize the object rather than the subject. So let's compare these two sentences. Firstly, an active sentence. James Cameron directed Avatar. So in this case, we are more interested in the director. And now in the passive, Avatar was directed by James Cameron. In this case, we are more interested in the film. So, the passive is often used with verbs that imply creativity, discovery, or destruction. Let's have a look at some of these verbs. Invent, design, direct, write, create, produce, make, discover, destroy, demolish, etc. Let's look at some examples. Hamlet was written by Shakespeare. Ferraris are made in Italy. The Twin Towers were destroyed in the September the 11th attacks. You can also use modals in the passive. Let's have a look at some examples of that. Safety goggles must be worn at all times. It can't be done. It might have been put away. Another thing to consider is when the passive is an infinitive. So let's have a look at some examples of that. It needs to be finished by tomorrow. I want to be buried at sea. It would be better not to be seen. We can also have a passive gerund. So, some examples. I don't like being spoken to like that. He loves being told what to do. He quit after being reprimanded. The last thing to consider with passive sentences are sentences that have both a direct and an indirect object. So, they awarded him the prize for literature. That's an active sentence, and it can be made passive in two different ways. First of all, he was awarded the prize for literature, or the prize for literature was awarded to him. In the first example, the direct object, i.e. him, is given precedence in the sentence. In the second example, the indirect object, i.e. the prize for literature, is given precedence. In this case, the direct object should be introduced with the preposition to, so to him. Thanks for listening. See you in the next video.